Sadly, in spite of the fact that there is said to be a 1 in 300 million chance of being killed on a roller coaster, fatal, near-fatal, and life-changing accidents on roller coasters are all too common. 270 million people visit amusement parks in America. About 7,000 suffer injuries, and some die. The trick is, don't assume all rides are safe. Ask questions, make sure the ride operator pays attention, and make sure other riders are behaving themselves. Some people climb into that seat smiling and never make it to the end when the roller coaster stops. But I guess folks just love the risk. Let's look at those who climbed on and never climbed off. Who doesn't love the thrill of a ride? For many, the scarier the better. It adds to the thrill. According to healthresearchfunding.org, there are over 297 million people in the USA alone that have had the opportunity to ride 1.7 billion different amusement park rides, most of which being roller coasters. The Association of Amusement Parks and Attractions concluded that there is only 1 over 24 million chance of being killed on roller coasters, and 8 can be injured in every million days. Death number 1, Orlando Freefall, 430-foot drop. Orlando Freefall was dreamed up by an overseas company called Funtime. According to Funtime's website, the original ride was supposed to be portable, only hold 25 riders, and reach roughly 260 feet high. Rides are inspected when they are first built and whenever a temporary ride moves to a new location. Permanent rides, like Orlando Freefall, only get inspected twice each year. These rules, however, only apply to smaller theme parks or those that employ 1,000 people or less. Parks that employ more than 1,000 people, like Disney World, Universal Studios, and SeaWorld, are exempt from state oversight and FDACS inspections. Instead, larger parks are allowed to inspect their own rides and report their findings to the state. Tyree Sampson was a victim of Orlando Freefall in 2022. The Office of the Medical Examiner in Orange County released the autopsy report for Tyree Sampson, the 14-year-old boy who fell to his death from the Freefall ride at Icon Park in March. The report released Monday explains that Sampson died of blunt force trauma after a fall from more than 70 feet. How did Tyree Sampson fall off the ride? Forensic engineering from Quest Engineering and failure analysis found in April that a seat sensor had been manually adjusted to allow the ride to operate with a greater opening between the seat and the safety harness. During their ride, Tyree slipped through the gap, according to a report. Death number 2, terminal velocity, 100 feet drop. You are strapped in a harness and raised 140 feet into the air in the cage, and then dropped 100 feet with no safety devices other than the net below. The harness is only to attach to the release latch, and it keeps your body positioned properly so you fall butt or back first into the net. If anything goes wrong with a drop from that high, you are likely to die, or if you don't, sustain life-threatening injuries. Tegan Marty saw the freefall ride Terminal Velocity at a Wisconsin Dells amusement park featured on a cable travel show and, being an adventurous 12-year-old, convinced her family to make the trip north from Florida to check it out. It was a normal day. Tegan Marty was just looking for a thrill when she signed up for the Terminal Velocity ride, a freefall ride at Extreme World in Wisconsin Dells. person is raised to the top of a platform and then unhooked, free falling at up to 52 miles an hour before, as the ride is designed, hitting the safety net below. In Tegan's case, however, the ride operator released her before the net was in place. Tegan suffered 10 fractures in her spine, a crushed pelvis, and chipped teeth, as well as blood loss to the head. When she was transferred to the hospital in Miami, she could not sit up or eat solid food. She could barely talk. Her muscle strength was evaluated at the extreme low end of the scale, but her spinal cord was stretched, not severed, giving hope that one day she will regain mobility. Death number 3. Ride of Steel. Victim, James Hakama. One of the tallest coasters east of the Mississippi, climbing 208 feet, reaching speeds in excess of 75 miles an hour. Hop onto the fastest roller coaster in New York State, the Ride of Steel. Located over the lake, enjoy the breeze while flying through one of our most popular rides. Equipped with 3 hills and speeds of greater than 75 miles per hour, it's no wonder why this is the ultimate coaster for thrill seekers. Enjoy the heart-pounding thrill of our tallest drop in the park. You will plunge 205 feet on the first 70-degree drop, but it doesn't end there. Be ready to tackle 2 more drops and zoom around quick turns. Hold on tight. At the end of the ride, you'll hit fast-paced mini hills that will make you feel like you're jumping out of your seat. Challenge yourself to ride the Ride of Steel and see what it feels like to fly. At approximately 5:30 p.m. on a Friday, Hakama was ejected from the park's Ride of Steel as it was operating. Hakama was in the very front of the ride, according to Genesee County Sheriff Sergeant Greg Walker. The restraints on the roller coaster are a lap bar and seatbelt. Hakama was reported at the park with his children and sister. His children were not with him on the ride at the time of the accident, but a relative said he was accompanied by a college-aged nephew. He was determined to ride every roller coaster, his sister Jody Hakama told the Associated Press. That minute he was on that ride, he probably felt the happiest and most normal he's felt in 3.5 years. Katie Marks, another of Hakama's sisters, told the AP that the nephew, Ashton Lufford, told her that park attendants did not challenge the disabled veteran's desire to ride the coaster. Death number 4. The Matterhorn, Disneyland. Seems innocuous, doesn't it? Certainly not a ride that should kill anyone. But this ride has claimed 2 lives. A 48-year-old woman was killed on the Matterhorn ride at Disneyland when she fell out of her bobsled as it raced down the man-made mountain and was run over by the next bobsled, police and amusement park authorities said. A coroner spokesman identified the victim as Dolly Regina Young of Fremont, California. The roller coaster type ride shut down automatically about 30 seconds after the accident, which occurred halfway down the mountain shortly before 3:30 p.m., said Al Flores, Disneyland publicity supervisor. The woman, sitting alone in the rear seat of the sled, was wearing a seatbelt when the ride was dispatched. Flores said, but Anaheim detective David Tuttle said the belt was open when he saw the bobsled at the accident scene. Flores said maintenance workers determined that there was no malfunction of the ride and that the seatbelt moorings had not pulled loose. He said it is routine standard operating procedure to check passengers in each sled twice to make sure seatbelts are securely fastened. But clearly something went wrong. 20 years apart, 2 tragic deaths on Disneyland's Matterhorn. It was approaching midnight when 15-year-old Mark Maples of Long Beach got in line at the Matterhorn with 2 teenage classmates. Maples was savoring freedom. His parents had just released him from a week-long grounding so he could attend the after-hours Elks Club event with his brothers. The details of what happened next are murky. Maples sat in the middle seat, and it was dark, so the other boys couldn't see what transpired. The bobsled was beginning its descent down the mountain when one boy told the Long Beach Press-Telegram he felt Maples bump into him. There was no way to tell what he was doing, he said. It's a bumpy kind of ride. I was looking up, heard a noise, looked down, and recognized Mark's sweater as he was falling out the side, the other boy added to the Press-Telegram. Disneyland officials speculated that Maples had unbuckled his seatbelt and stood up on the ride, apparently striking his head on the side of the concrete mountain, falling vertically about 1 foot, landing beside the tracks of the sled. They estimated the bobsled was going 20 miles an hour at the time of the accident. Maples' father told the press the next day that ride operators didn't believe the boys when they said their companion had fallen out. It was not until 2 girls who were in the car behind them verified the story before the ride was shut down, the Press-Telegram reported. When paramedics arrived, Mark was unconscious. He was rushed to the hospital with severe head trauma and put on a ventilator. The teenager died 4 days later. He never regained consciousness. Death number 5. Askari Amusement Park, Karachi, Pakistan. Pendulum. The pendulum ride, called Discovery, was 40 feet high when it crashed at the Askari Amusement Park in Karachi, Pakistan. A video of the incident shows the swing collapse with a bang. The pendulum ride, called Discovery, was 40 feet high when it crashed at the Askari Amusement Park in Karachi, Pakistan. A video of the incident shows the swing collapse with a bang. Too many people were on the ride, which was free and being run on a trial basis, according to Reuters. The collapse injured 25 people, and a 12-year-old girl was killed during the accident. Death number 6. Mindbender, Galaxyland. The risk is real. Strap in, baby. The Mindbender holds the title of world's largest indoor roller coaster with a triple loop. It was also dubbed the world's safest roller coaster. It's located in West Edmonton Mall in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. In 1986, the fourth car on one of the trains derailed just before it came to the ride's third and final loop. As a result, the train failed to clear said loop and slid backwards, making uncontrolled sideways movements and slamming into a concrete pillar. The lap bars disengaged as a result of the damage caused, and 4 passengers were thrown around 25 feet to the floor. 3 of those passengers were killed, while the 4th was badly injured. A number of other passengers were treated for minor injuries at a hospital close to the mall. A subsequent investigation revealed that the accident was caused by bolts on the left wheel assembly coming loose, with design flaws being blamed for that. The ride reopened with redesigned trains, the 4-car trains having been modified to become 3-car trains, which reduced the ride's capacity to 12 from 16, and an anti-rollback mechanism was added to the track. Shoulder headrests and seat belts were also added. Death number 7. The Smiler, Alton Towers, UK. The Smiler is the world's first 14-loop roller coaster. Its twisting track combines the world-beating 14 loops with a speed of 85 kilometers an hour and a track length 3 times longer than Oblivion. The height of this ride is 30 meters. The top speed is 85 km an hour. The G-force is 4.5 G. The length of the ride, 1.170 meters. You need to be at least 1.4 meters tall to ride this Smiler. The most high-profile and undoubtedly the worst of the problems it has experienced occurred in 2015. 5 people were seriously injured, including 2 teenage girls who each lost a leg, when a carriage carrying 16 people on the 18 million pound ride crashed into an empty car at 20 miles an hour. Even though the ride system had detected an error, a ride engineer overrode it and allowed it to continue, causing the collision. Alton Towers was fined £5 million over the incident. On other occasions, the ride has left passengers stranded, sometimes in uncomfortable positions, but none of these incidents resulted in injuries like this one did. According to an article in The Guardian, an empty carriage was left on the track, while another was sent out around the 14 loops at speeds of 50 miles per hour in some places. When the carriage filled with passengers hit the stationary car, a metal barrier at the front smashed into the legs of the 4 passengers at the front. Eyewitnesses said the second cart was pushed up the track, then fell back down, hitting them again. In addition to Balch, Lee Washington, 18, needed surgery to amputate her leg, while Joe Pugh, aged 19, suffered serious damage to his kneecaps, and Daniel Thorpe, 28, and Chandaben Chauhan, 49, were badly injured. An internal investigation by Alton Towers found that the crash was the result of human error because an operator decided to override a safety system. So, next time you go on a ride, remember there's always some risk, and buckle in and hold tight. Who knows if you'll make it out alive or in one piece. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. Until our next series, have a good evening.